Hello, hi there. In this video, what I'm going to be looking at is grammar and the role that it plays in Reading Part C. So some useful bits of grammar. I'm not going to teach a lot about grammar today, but I'm going to show some examples in the reading texts which show you how grammar plays a role. Okay, so first of all, what's this? It's a brick wall. Now you might be wondering, why is Paul showing me a brick wall? Now the reason why is because for me, this is how I see paragraphs in OET Reading Part C. All right. Each of those bricks in the wall is an idea and they're all connected to each other by various different ways. Now in OET Reading Part C, you're being tested on your ability to connect ideas together and get bigger ideas as a result. Now they're connected in a variety of different ways. I'm going to talk about 3 of those ways in this video today. Okay, so I'm going to talk about referencing, I'm going to talk about linkers in the same sentence, and I'm going to talk about linkers in 2 sentences. So we're talking about sentence structure and how we can link things together. All right, so let's start with referencing. All right, so here we go. What is referencing? Referencing is the use of normally pronouns, okay, the use of words, and we'll say generally pronouns, to refer back to ideas that have previously been mentioned in a text. Okay, that's what it is. So we're using words such as, let's have a look. We could be using words such as this, or which, or that, or these, or those. Little words like that. Then you've got very simple ones, he, she, it. Okay. We've got all of these kinds of examples. All of these are pronouns that are used to refer to other things. Now they can be simple words, simple nouns, or they can be whole ideas. Okay, so a very, very simple example would be something like, my brother lives in Switzerland, he is a nice guy. Okay, that's a really easy bit of referencing. Now in OET reading, referencing is used extensively. It's used a lot. Now, there are some questions which are reference questions where it says, what does this mean? What does which mean in this sentence? Okay, but it's not just in referencing questions that it's used. It's used all the time. We see it used often in answer options, A, B, C, and D. It will say they, or their, or it, okay, that kind of thing. But it's also used extensively throughout all paragraphs in Reading Part C. I've chosen some examples just at random from 2 different Reading Part Cs. I've just taken out a few sentences from there just to show you how referencing gets used. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one. Let's pop this down here. Okay. Yeah, let's have a look at this first example. All right, so for someone with osteoarthritis, pain is characterized by body-wide, low-level inflammation that can actually change the function of many of the body symptoms, such as the brain and the gut. Okay. Dr. Stanton claims such changes. Well, there's a first one, isn't there? Such changes. So if you had to say to yourself what these changes are, well, that's referring back to changes that were mentioned in the previous sentence. All right, so there's a first piece of referencing. Let's keep going. That such changes influence the sensitivity of our pain systems. While all this means there are numerous different contributors to chronic pain. Oh, so what does this mean? Well, it says all this, doesn't it? So what all this means is everything that's been mentioned before. That's what it means. Okay? Everything that's been mentioned already. They're saying that if you think about everything that we've said already, it means this. And then it goes on to tell you. So when it comes to referencing, the word itself always refers to something that's been said before. But if you're trying to work out what a word means, what a reference means, it's always a good idea to look ahead. Well, what does it do in the remaining sentence? And you can sort of work out what it means from there as well. We've got it here. Okay, we've got so many examples of referencing. They. Okay, what does they mean? They might not seem like much. Well, if I want to do that, okay, interventions such as alterations to diet are, she thinks, surprisingly more effective than most people think. They might not seem like much. That's referring to interventions. So this is one paragraph, okay, one paragraph in OET Reading Part C. And we can see, can't we, that it's like this. Let's go back. It's like this. That's what it's like. Let me give you another diagram, okay? I think it's also like this. There's a sentence, and then it's pointing back at something that's in a previous sentence. That's what referencing is. Okay, let's go and look at another example. Let's scroll down and we'll see this one. Okay, so what can we see? We can see it there. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Currently, there is no widely accepted medical test to diagnose fibromyalgia, so the prospect of a diagnostic biomarker is exciting. In 2010, the American College of Rheumatology did publish a set of diagnostic criteria for fibromyalgia. However, its usefulness is questionable. Its usefulness. That's an interesting one, isn't it? The usefulness of what? It's referring back to this. A set of diagnostic criteria that was published by this rheumatology, American College of Rheumatology. That's what it's saying. It's saying that the set of diagnostic criteria produced by the American College of Rheumatology has questionable usefulness. So it's saying something negative about it. All right. That's really, really good. Okay, let's keep going. A study in the journal Arthritis Care and Research found that doctors at a university rheumatology clinic overdiagnosed fibromyalgia in 43 patients out of 121 who met the criteria and missed it entirely in 60 patients. So what does it mean? Okay, it means fibromyalgia. Okay, they missed it. So it's not just referencing questions that use this. It's used throughout OET Reading Part C. And if it's something that you're learning now for the first time, it's something that you need to look at. If it's something that you've thought of many times, okay, or that you recognize, or that you don't even see it, you just understand it without it, then that's great. But very often we see in our classes that the reason that people get things wrong is because they don't understand what's being referenced. Okay? So let's look at the next thing. We've done referencing. Let's look at linkers. Now, when I say linkers, I'm being very, very loose with that idea. Okay, very, very loose. This image that you can see on the screen is a chain. Okay, so it's a chain. And if you remember back, I said that every paragraph's like a brick wall with lots and lots of different ideas in it. Well, linkers connect ideas together like they're in a chain. And sometimes they do them inside the same sentence. Okay, so I've got a few more examples here that we can look at, which will hopefully demonstrate again the value of understanding the grammar here. Okay, we're looking at what sentence structure means in this case. So let's pop this down here. Sentences that are complicated, okay, complicated or long sentences, they contain lots of ideas, okay. That's what it is. Like long lists have got multiple items in lists. Sentences with multiple clauses, they've got different ideas in them, okay? And that's really important for reading Part C. Lots of complicated sentences get used with multiple clauses. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to show, here are 3 ideas. I'm going to put them together in one sentence and you should be able to understand it. But the way it works in English is, if you want to connect multiple ideas in one sentence, you must have a linking device, some way of linking them together. So I've got some examples here. All right, let's go and have a look at some examples. Okay, let's look at the first one here. Fibromyalgia can be underdiagnosed because we have to look for everything first. All right, okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? All right, because that's my linker. I've got my idea 1, I've got idea 2, I've got my linker. Let's look at the next one. Researchers and medical experts, on the other hand, are reserving their judgment. All right, okay. Actually, that one should be in the next table. Okay, that's showing contrast. Okay, for something else that's come before it. Okay, but if we look at this bit, Dr. Bronwyn Lennox Thompson, senior lecturer at the University of Otago, is mindful that the study was conducted on mice, which can be regarded as a shortcoming. So this is an example of referencing and sentence structure coming together. Can you remember what this is called? All right, this is called a relative clause. We don't need this bit at the moment. Let me just pull that across. Okay, this is called a relative clause. What that means is that everything that's in this area, okay, everything that's in this area here, after which, is called a relative clause. And it's related to what came before. And it's by using this pronoun, this relative pronoun which, that I'm allowed to add a new extra section of the sentence. That's a relative clause. Okay? That's a really useful thing. It's a really long sentence. Why is it long? It's got a relative clause in it. Let's look at the next one. This bit of referencing, this suggests that therapies such as plasma exchange, which are designed to reduce antibody levels and which are available for other autoimmune disorders such as myasthenia gravis, may be effective in fibromyalgia patients. Again, we've got another relative clause, but this relative clause is in the middle of a main clause. Starts there, finishes there. Our main clause is here. This suggests that therapies such as plasma exchange may be effective in fibromyalgia patients. If you're thinking in terms of sentence structure, okay, and not just going with the flow, then we understand what this sentence means. The bit in blue is just extra information for us. That's called a relative clause. All right. The next one. Okay, the next one is a bit less common, but it is definitely used. Here, what we've got is what we call a participle clause. Okay, you've got a section here. Here's our first section, affecting at least 1 in 40 people worldwide. Second idea, fibromyalgia is a chronic illness. So they're telling us 2 things with this participle clause, which is using affecting as our connector, as our linker. This is showing us that 2 things are true about fibromyalgia at the same time. All right? That's a participle clause. Let's look at the next one. Okay, next one. It's incredibly complex, but according to neuroscientist Dr. Tasha Stanton, if we can change how we understand pain and what contributes to it, we can reduce our experience. So here we've got 2 different ways of connecting ideas. We've got contrast and we've got a conditional sentence. So all of these sentences, they're made with connectors with some linking device that connects multiple ideas together. Let's look at the next one. Currently, there is no widely accepted medical test to diagnose fibromyalgia. So The prospect of a diagnostic biomarker is exciting. So think about what we're saying there. If I asked you a question, why are people excited about the prospect of a diagnostic biomarker? Well, it's because there's no widely accepted medical test to diagnose fibromyalgia. So it's really, really important that we understand how ideas are connected in OET. Now, all of these are examples of in the same sentence, okay? They're all linkers inside the same sentence. Let's look at another one where we look at connecting two sentences together, all right? So, look at the first one. Current treatment tends to focus on gentle aerobic exercise as well as, that's an addition linker, as well as drug and psychological therapies designed to manage pain. Full stop. Then we've got, however. That's contrast. It's starting a new sentence, but it's connecting. These is a bit of referencing. What's it talking about? It's talking about therapies. Okay? So you're connecting these sentences together at the same time as using referencing. All right? So if we go back, if I just sort of highlight what I'm talking about here. Okay? Let's go and have a look at this brick wall again. We've got these ideas. There's a lot of ideas that the writer wants to express to us. Sometimes we put them in the same sentence. Sometimes we put a full stop and do a new sentence. Okay? Let's look at the next one. Fibromyalgia sufferers are understandably hopeful that Anderson and his colleagues' findings might shed some new light on this condition. Researchers and medical experts, on the other hand, are reserving judgment. On the other hand, again, is another contrast linker. We don't see as many linkers across two sentences as we do combining clauses in one sentence like before. And often it's contrast. Reading Part C, they use a lot of contrast. Even if it doesn't always give you the answer, it often is a very important, vital way of understanding what the writer's opinion is or what they're really trying to say in a paragraph. Let's look at the last one. She thinks that something everyone can do in these increasingly hectic times is to make time to be quiet and calm. She goes on to say, that's an interesting one, isn't it? She goes on to say, well, that means she's saying more of this. Okay, it's more of what she's saying. So we are connecting the next sentence with the sentence that came before it. And that's what it's all about. Okay. Everything that I'm saying in this video is about how ideas are connected together, that the Reading Part C texts are designed to put idea, 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 idea. And if we understand how those ideas relate to each other, then we have a better understanding of what the situation is. And that means that when we look at the answer options, we can more quickly and more accurately say whether this option is a good option and it could be the answer, or it's not the answer and it doesn't match the text. Okay? So here's my advice. Work on referencing. If it's something that you've not done before or that you've struggled with or a teacher has told you that's the reason why you've got this answer incorrect, go and work on it. Go and have a look at it. Every OET Reading Part C text uses referencing. Go and find a couple of paragraphs or look at a text and see how often it gets used and see if you always understand it. And also just do daily practice on sentence structure. Write some sentences. Look at some texts. Analyze the sentences and see how are they connecting those things together. And I promise that if you do this, if you do both of these things, your Reading Part C, time management will improve because your comprehension will improve. You'll get faster, you'll get more accurate. Okay, so good luck. I hope this was useful and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.